Hello.
Hello together.
Hello, Robert.
Hello, Klaus. Hello, audience. Yeah, welcome to our episode of Fun with Relux today. Today we have a topic called light pollution.
Obtrusive light.
Obtrusive light is the correct noun. Before we start into this topic, I have to do an update. We had shown 2 episodes ago the fantastic new world of real-time rendering, and now we are published the Relux version, the 2024.1. This version is now public available for everybody, not anymore as in beta state. We are stable enough to be in a release state, and you can now experience this real-time rendering for yourself. This is a news update, and also it comes together with GLDF, so it's also possible now to put in GLDF files into Relux Desktop together with 3D enhancement and so on and so on. Check the release notes, check the websites. So this is out now. But today it's about light pollution, obtrusive light, and this is a topic where we not going to show you much Relux Desktop as the episodes before. So it's now more straight into, let's say, more theoretically, more in terms of standards. Of course, we are going to create new stuff in this field. So we're going to update our capabilities for obtrusive light in Relux Desktop, and that's why we want to show you what it's inside this topic. It's quite interesting if you're getting the chance to dive into it, and this we want to share today with you.
Yeah. Yes, we are working, as you say, we are working on this topic, and we want to discuss some points with you and also show you some things about the thing. We have prepared a presentation. I will share the screen.
We have this time in PowerPoint presentation,
and we will start. And when we're talking with the word obtrusive light and light pollution, many people starting with thinking of the problematic of the dark sky, of the pollution with light of the environment, so that it has impact to the behavior of insects or birds and nature.
Everything,
and everything in problematic. But it is also from the term of a light planner when we are creating lighting installations, especially in exterior lighting, sports lighting, road lighting, some like places, industrial places, and so on. It has also some points which are related for humans, like glare rating or obtrusive light in parts of areas where we don't want to have light, or so much light.
So in general, obtrusive light is something which pollutes or disturbs the sky. So we enlighten the sky with artificial light. And this is something which in a normal way, it's not wanted. So of course, the artificial light in the sky, reflecting the sky, is disturbing the nature. This is bad also for us humans, for our biologically functions, that we have some kind of artificial light glowing in the night sky, and also the observing of the sky. You cannot see any stars anymore if you have too much pollution of light in the air. So that's why there are standards. That's why we deal with this, and it's also possible to calculate the pollution. And we will see how we can calculate it and what is the standards to having a less impact on the sky in order to allow the nature to behave naturally, and also to see the stars again and to have observations possible from the Earth. So.
Yes, and when we are taking to the standards, we will see that there are already in the existing standards, we have a lot of places where requirements or restrictions for this kind of obtrusive light are. For example, in the 12464 part 2, the lighting of workplaces, outdoor workplaces, we will find a table or some requirements similar in sports lighting, also in the existing standards. We have in Germany, there is a special paper which is called LIE for monitoring of light emission in Germany. Similar in Austria, there is a specific standard for this. But also in many other countries, for example, like in the Netherlands, they have requirements for reducing light pollution, and many more. Mainly, we will find describe the way for a guide or it is called the guide of limitation of the effects of obtrusive light in the C150. And also that what is written in the other papers is mainly also similar described in the CEA. We have sometimes a little bit different limits and so on, but the way to make this evaluation is mostly there described.
Yeah. So the CE 150 is some kind of the basement. So this is let's say the fundament, the basement for all the other European and national standards. So in CE 150 you have the description of the description of the calculations and also the introduction of the values and criteria, how to evaluate obtrusive light, and also some limits for obtrusive light depending on areas we will see later on. So CE 150 is in a way the basement which is referred to and mirrored to the other standards.
Okay, and let's take a look. When we take a look, for example, in the EN 12464, we will find, for example, this table, and we can mainly describe there are three areas of different kind, or three kinds of light pollution, and for different things. On the left side, the light on properties is it's mainly called light which is coming, for example, through the windows into the houses. And this is mainly a vertical illuminance, which can be measured or is be limited on windows, or maybe also on complete facades or balconies and so on. The second point is the luminous intensity. Here it is made for a very simple kind of glare calculation for users, or not for users, for people or humans which are outside of the installation. And in the last part, we will find values, the upward light ratio and luminance limitation on facades and also on signs, which are more for the light pollution, for the environment, for the dark sky, and so on.
So blue is in a way the brightness on facades, on properties of humans, of neighbors. The red one is some kind of a glare rating and primitive one. And the green one is the pollution of the sky, which is the light which comes to the sky over the facade, over signs and so on. That's why we have the limits. And this is all in different, let's say, environmental zones. We will have another slide for this. And yeah, this is the limit. And this is from the old CRE 150, this table. There is an update for a couple of years. This is not in the current one, this is from the past one, but EN 12464 will also be updated with a new table. In short, it's quite the same. The intensity is a bit of more exposed. Yeah.
Okay, here in the next slide, we will have a graphical overview. What does this mean in a realistic scene? And in this in our example, this is a road scene with a road and sidewalks and the facade. And the yellow one is the useful light, the light which is needed to illuminate the road and the sidewalk. And on the right side, we will have the light which is part of this obtrusive light, and the red one is illustrating the glare, the direct glare of people, which may be affected by the lighting installation, We'll have the blue one, the light which goes on the facade or on the windows and maybe illuminate other parts of the environment. And then very special, or not very special, but for the dark sky, and it is we have the direct upward light, which is described by the value ULR. We will later have a little bit more. This is light which is going up directly from the luminaires in their installation style. And the second one is the upward reflected light, which comes as well from the use area, in this case the road, but as well from reflected light from facades up to the sky. And these values, together with the direct upward light, will be described by the UFR value. Mm-hmm. Also, as Robert tells, we have these values are split in environmental lighting zones. Here we have in the CE actually 5 lighting zones. In the old, let's say in the old 123464 and also in the sports lighting, there are just 4. Mm-hmm. But this, I guess, this will also change with the new one. Yeah, we will see.
So in short, so E0 is something which is really should be dark. So something like in dark sky park, some areas close to an sky observatory, yeah, to see the stars, to observe the stars in a way. And then from 1 to 4, it's increasing to be more urban areas. So in zone 1, you have, it's like in the village, or not in the village, really far away from any village, maybe just a street. In 2 and 3, you have some kind of small village in infrastructure environments, and in zone 4, you are in the center of a big city. In big cities, of course, you have more light surrounded, so that's why the limits are higher, which you can use. In dark areas, you have to have restricted or more strict values. You have to keep, you have to be below this. And it's not quite easy to tell in which zone it's what. So especially in 2, 3, and 4, 2 and 3, this is not really separated. There's a description you can follow in the CIE 150. The only one which is good described also here in the notes is the astronomy observatories. If there's one, you can measure the distance to this observatory, and then you know in which zone you are, in a way, if you are in 1 or 2 or in 0. This is the only one. The rest is a bit of an interpretation.
Okay. And now we are going to update Relux. In Relux, you can already calculate a lot of these requirements. You can do it already. Some are missing, but some you can already do, but you have to know how to do this. And it is also, it is not really good supported by the program. And for that, we want to add some new features, for example, like here, that we can make very simple with vertical measuring surfaces, the evaluation of the luminance of the facade, as well as for the
illumination on the properties.
The illumination on the
horizontal
properties. At least these are just vertical surfaces, and we are calculating the illuminances on them. And in the case of the luminance calculation, we will multiply this with the average reflection of the facade. Mm-hmm. This is here for facades, but it is also for special requirements, like for windows. We have here the possibility, then we will use create vertical surfaces which can place in front with simple steps in front of windows and so on. Anybody of you who has already using our new emergency tool, we will see there we have some similar vertical surfaces which are used for in the emergency lighting for like
fire extinguishers,
and
alarm buttons for
fireplace. There we have also the necessary to make evaluation on vertical surfaces, and this will be added into the next program or in the future. Now we are coming to the ULR, to the upward light ratio. This is the part of the light which goes directly from the luminaires up to the sky in their oriental zone. So if you return your luminaire 180 degrees upward, then you will have an upward light ratio of 1.
So we calculate this value according to the actual position and rotation of the luminaire, and not about the luminaire without any adjustments or settings. So this is a bit of a discussion. So we think we're doing it correctly by measuring the ULR by the actual position and rotation of the luminaire. And of course, if you rotate the luminaire upwards or more upwards, then you have more ULR value. And if you have it really flat, just downwards, then you have in reduction to close to 0, depending on the luminaire, of course.
Yes, yeah, to 0. This is already implemented, and you will find it on the result overview of exterior scenes. You can switch this in the properties on or off if you want to see it, if you want to have it displayed, and then you will also get this upward light ratio. It is also available in road lighting and the result overview of road lighting. But more interesting will be for the future to have the calculation of the UFR, the upward flux ratio. And the upward flux ratio also includes the direct part from the luminaires as described, but also the reflections from the ground surfaces as well from the facades and so on in the scene.
On any surface, so not just street and facades, also the grass, every surface which is hit from the light and going to be reflected in a way upwards is calculated in this. This brings an realistic value of how much light is going into the sky, overall reflections, overall material you have in the scene.
Yeah. And this will be coming soon in this next version of what we are calling obtrusive light. It will be a feature inside of the Relux desktop program.
Yeah.
For these values, ULR and UFR, there are already limits, for example, in the CEA 150. This may be different in different countries. I don't know, it's a little bit specific, but there are still some values existing, and users are asking for this to implement, especially also this 150. And here you will also see then in the environment zones, the ULR, for example, in E0 and E1, it should be 0, so no light should go upward, and in up to an E4 there is allowed up to 15%. And also here for the UFR, we have also these values, and also in various, so it's a little bit different for what kind of installation, if it is a road, an AMT, or a sports installation. Now we are coming to the point glare rating. We have already here an implementation under the tool which is called KCalc. So in the context of obtrusive light, we have there are actually two ways described how this can be evaluated. And for example, in the LIE in Germany or in Austria, they will use the luminance as the evaluation according to the luminance and the square solid of each luminance. And they are working with this factor, with this propagation factor in the standard. And then we have here, sorry, we have this only in German. That means here we have here for different areas. In this example, the 1 is for hospitals, 2 is for living areas, 3 is in villages and center, and 4 in industrial areas and so on. And there we will have this kind, this K factor with different limits. And the meaning of these limits is, for example, 32 means that 3 to 10% of the persons will be disturbed by this installation. And in, for example, here in the 96, it is up to 50%. So
field cleared. Yeah.
Field clear. So this is just to remember, so that clear is nothing absolute. So it is very individual, and one person may say, "Oh, this is I feel disturbed by the light," and another one say, "No, everything is fine." So that's just for remember that clear is already a little bit difficult for to say if it is good or not. And now what is missing? We have the evaluation of the luminous intensity, which is already in the program in the simple way as it is described in the most standard, like the 12464, where we have just to estimate, to check what is the luminous the intensity in the emission place. And
here, by the way, we have a post and break curfew. This is also depending on local authorities. In Germany, we have an emission law which tells you it's 22, so 10 o'clock p.m., where you have some kind of an in curfew situation where you have to reduce emissions in terms of sound, but also to reduce the emission of light and other stuff to a minimum. And so that's why this is divided in before the curfew and and before and behind the curfew, pre and post. This is why it is also in the new tables. We'll also see different, but this 22 o'clock is typical for German, but this may differ in different areas, that you have another curfew times. But this is in the CIE overall, that you have in two sets. One is more daytime, one is more nighttime. So we have a division in these two time frames of the day.
And this will now be changed a little bit because already in the CE 150 there is a little bit more special ways, a different way to make this a little bit more accurate. And for that we will implement this table. And this will define the maximum luminous intensity by each luminaire in candela related to the projected area of the luminaire in the way, and also with the distance. So we have not one specific value for the complete situation. It will be different for each kind of luminaire.
So on each point,
on each light point. And that is also, which is coming soon, which is actually not inside of the program, but we are working on it, and it will be implemented in a similar way as we have it actually for the K-Calc. And here, this is also then the way we want to implement it into the program. This is already existing. You have the possibility to place a kind of observing point into the inside of your scene.
An emission point.
Emission point, yes, the emission point. And this will be useful for both for the limited of Emax and as well for the luminance calculation with the K factor. We will have there an interactive result list, which shows for each luminaire the result in this position. And in this list, you can display all related values. Actually, we have there the K value and the maximum luminance, but then in the future also the limit, the maximum intensity points. And finally, sorry for that, we have no picture at the moment. We will also include a calculation grid so that you can detect in one calculation a complete area if there are critical points inside of this area. And we will implement this in 2D, as you mainly know it from Relux, but we will also create a 3D, the possibility to create a kind of 3D measurement that you can also check, for example, in the front of houses on separate floors, how problematic values will be there.
So some kind of a false color or zero color cloud, not just an area, so in some kind of an measurement volume, we called it in the past, which you can say and see in 3D, where you have critical areas.
And at least also we want to optimize the output. Actually, you have the possibility to calculate many of the values which are in content with the obtrusive light, but then in future we want to prepare a kind of summary, especially for these values, that you have it in one printout, that you everything have it in one good readable result overview for the necessaries of obtrusive light to make the documentation and the planning with your customers.
Yep. So one output for obtrusive light. So one gathering of all the single factors we have seen. So one single, not single page. No, it will be hard on one single page. So a couple of pages, but one report on obtrusive light for some kind of evaluation of the calculations. What is possible to reach in obtrusive light.
Yeah. Okay.
This was the presentation.
So we will take if there are any questions related to our theme today.
Yeah. Let's go into the questions.
Switch and
there's at least one question or one comment. We just need to have to put it here on our screen so that you can read it. This is always a bit of.
It's a little bit tricky here in the system.
So, okay, there is one. ULR refers to installed position.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Konstantinos.
Thank you, Konstantinos.
Then we get it right. But there are some sources which tells you it's just about the lumina, not about the installation. It's about the lumina itself. Of course, this is then more easy to evaluate just the lumina without the installation, but it's better to have the real value with the real installation.
UFR is a must-to-have. Also, thank you, Kostas. And we are. It will not be far away.
No, we will implement it and we will have it. Hi there. In UFR, what is the size of the reference measurement area? Only above the road, and buildings. Thanks. Yeah, good question. It's above everything. It's not just about the road. It's really above the complete area, and of course, where's the end of the area? So in Relux, it's maybe more simple because we have a limit of the area in a certain way. But also interesting is how high, what is the grid, and so on. There are a lot of tiny stuff which need to be evaluated.
Yeah, but it's, I agree with him. But at least it is we will use everything which is inside of the scene, and it is the planner must put everything responsible or relative or area in his scene. Then it will be related to the UFR. And I guess especially in many situations, especially with road lighting, you have to place representative obstructicals, maybe simple prisms for buildings or something like that, but there are responsible values, areas in it to create the reflectance to the sky.
Yeah.
In this case of table 3, how Relux will handle simple oil that luminous surfaces and complex one. It means that the same lumen may have to. Yeah, it's a little. This is also a little bit a problematic thing, but at the moment, I would say typically we have in these situations normally lights they have a clear lighting surface. In the case of LDT described, but you are right. This is a little bit a problematic thing.
Yeah. But we have also far distant stuff, so I guess it's not the biggest impact if we have some strange shapes of light outputs. Of course, it has an effect. Hard to tell. Some studies are needed. If a round-shaped output has some impact, we are in far field in a way, so we not expect any difference, at least in our simulation environment. In reality, it might be different. We need some kind of studies for this.
Yeah, this is also the next question goes in the same point. The total surface of the lighting output of a luminaire are often not accurate, but it is relevant and critical parameter of the C150 table. Yes, that is it. And this is also the interpretation and the use of this. What is the CN surface of the luminaire? This is still under discussion at the moment. Also, how we will implement it, but we will implement it in a way that it is that you can see with which area we will calculate, and you have also the possibility to change this if it is not correct, for example, from the luminaire manufacturer. So,
yeah. It's about clearing the viewing angle, if it's with cosinus phi or without, and so on. And Rob, it's not solved by GLDF in a way, because GLDF takes the same flat light output areas. There's nothing where we have curved light output areas in GLDF. Of course, it's possible to create a lot of light outputs to cover this, but I guess don't think that the manufacturers will go in this route. Yeah, next one. For the UFR, we'll need to apply surface reflectance values to all surfaces in the models. Yes. So any reflectance of all the surfaces has an impact to the UFR. So then it makes sense to cover grass in a good reflection, and also the street, the art tables of the streets have to be, and also the facades. Sometimes you have a bit of an interpretation freedom as a lighting designer, because you not know the reflectance from outdoor. But also in the CIE 150, there's also a table for cover the most common surfaces, but just 10 or 20 of it, so not all of them. But there's, for example, concrete, there's grass, there are some values in CIE 150 where you can at least refer. So if you are unsure, or if you not want to put your own values for reflectance, you can refer to the CIE 150 with at least the basic materials and say, okay, I've done it this way, and then it should be okay for the most common things. This we have answered.
Okay, the next one is, can this problem be solved when using GLDF formats? This is related to the luminaire surface and C150 table. Not really, because in the GLDF, the description of the lighting surface has the same limitations as we already have it in the. It's also, you have a luminous width and the luminous length, and the problematic we already knows when we have only, let's say, a few single very small points of LTTs of the real lighting surface and the lighting surface which is described in the formats. It will have more or less the same problem as also in the common formats.
Is there any restriction to backwards light throw from a fitting? When does it become obtrusive based on street light? Backwards light throw, yeah, of course. The light which comes out back, also not to the street, in the other direction of the street. This is going to is also an issue for glaring. Of course, depending on the LDC, what is happening behind the luminaire. But if this can also glare, this has also an impact on the UFR, because it also have some reflection and so on. This is the same stuff as in the other direction. How high do we have to position the ULR sensor above the model? For the ULR, you have not any sensor. It's calculated upon the luminaire. But for the UFR, for the spill light which goes to the sky, we will deal with this. So we get just this value. We have not to place a measuring grid be up to the scene. We will do it automatically. You will just get this value. if you're doing it right now without the value implemented, what we will going to do in one of the next versions, then you have to place the area in a certain high F node load. Lars, have you an idea how high the area should be above the highest buildings, so that it can collect all the light, not so far away? Because
I guess it should be in the limitation of the scene. So I think we will have here at the moment, we will don't have here a totally accurate calculation. It's a kind of estimation, but I guess for this kind of planning it will be useful, and for that we will place a very large, or if you want to make it manually, you will place a very large measuring surface above your complete scene. It must be as big as this. You can collect all upward light flux on this measuring surface, and then the calculation should work for the things. To place a virtual 3D measure dome with different metrics for the calculation until. Yes, there is
a question about the dome.
About the dome. Yes, this is a little bit also under discussion. Constantinus, I'm not sure if it is really if it really must be a dome. We will discuss this inside, and then also we can take a check. But I guess for the realistic, when we're taking the real life sky, it is so high above that the
curve is not so high.
The curve will have not a big impact for this results. Can you repeat the name of the standard that includes luminous surface to declare calculation? Yeah, this is the this is as well in the CEA 150.
CIE 150.
But it is also in the LIE and in the Austrian standard.
If you check the YouTube video of this, in the beginning, there is a list of standards. Just click on the pause button in YouTube, and then you have a list of standards which referring it, and the most common one is the CIE 150. How to measure the horizontal illuminance in a sloppy terrain? It's a question what you want to measure on horizontal. So, of course, horizontal areas are made for calculating the, let's say, the impact of the light on the facade, on the windows, that people who lives in this building not be disturbed by this light much, so that they not be disturbed by this emission. So that's why you need not to do it on the hill, or maybe if you live on the hill, then you need an area. But if there is no living people behind the facade, it's just about the calculation also of the reflections to the sky, and this also happens without this area in Relux. So you don't need to calculate this area in Relux in order to have this UFR value. In Relux, you need to place horizontal zones for buildings, facades, where people are active living in order to have this impact of illuminance on the buildings. So, and if it is sloppy, or if you have a building which is organic formed, then you need to create just a straight, let's say, area in front of this building. Not bend it with the building, just put a rectangle, square, simple one in front of this curved building. This I would do in this direction.
Okay, not all manufacturer data contains the flashed or lit areas of the luminaire. Yes, this is
hopefully. We need this area from the manufacturers, so it's absolutely that the manufacturers contain all the areas where the light comes out. So mainly in outdoor lighting, you have one bigger area where the light comes out. This needs to be described as best as possible. Of course, if you have curved luminaires, but in autolight, I have to say a lot of curved stuff is not quite well for light spill in general. So maybe you go more to a flat surface of light output and not to some fancy glass globes, or then cover it from above. Yeah, but of course, we are depending on this, that the manufacturers describe it well.
With regards to surface area, there is usually many LED point light sources. So should we account to each LED?
No, I would not go in this direction that you have to pinpoint any single LED as a source. The large area is hopefully one area where all the LEDs are behind, and then for our calculation approaches, for our methods of calculating, this is fully okay. This is in a far field. So if you are really away from it, you cannot differ in single LED spots, and it's also not about the luminance of the surface in differentiation. So not the homogeneously of the light surface is calculated. It's more about the total luminous flux out of this area, which has an impact on all this obtrusive spill light effects.
So the next two questions, we can put it together.
Good. Then we save a bit of time.
So when will it be ready? Good question.
Good question. It will not be available by this year because the year is almost finished. Maybe some kind of beta version, but it's something we are doing right now. More realistically is something like January, maybe February, where you can get your hands on it, maybe more early in a beta state, and more later on in a version which is let's say tested precisely. So beginning of next year, if you make it rough. UK Planning Authority now requesting light impact assignments. So we will need this values tool for all the project. Yes, it's the same all over Europe, we have to say. In Germany, we have this LIE. This is really this is more than a standard. This is down to law. It's not just a nice to have standards which you need to agree. It's also something in the law. We have in Germany, also in Switzerland, I'm quite sure there is some strict emission laws. You have to be, if you do something like emissions, like sound or like light, you need to be careful that you not disturb other people and also the environment. So this is also an environmental impact if you're putting light in the sky. That's why it's on focus, and that's why you have a lot of local law authorities which deals with it. And this has a meaning. This is something we need to be aware as lighting professionals, that we not disturb others or the night, especially if you're outdoor. If you're indoor, you can just shut down everything and you are just indoor, but outdoor, you have an impact on your neighbors and also on the nature a lot. Yeah.
Then the last one, how do we measure illuminance on sloped horizontal surfaces, the floor? If it is horizontal, you have the possibility to make a polygonal horizontal measuring surveys, and then you can make calculations. In the case for the UFR value, for example, when you are working with let's say also with some structures from like hills or something like that, then we will calculating that we are already doing with measures. We are calculating on patches, on small triangles which are on the surface, and each triangle has its own result, and we will use these results to take a look what is going upward to the sky.
It's possible to have this in false colors. So we have also values on surfaces, on all surfaces. You can have in visualization of the values by switching on false colors. For this clear stuff, we're also going to create some 3D volume false color objects, clouds in a way. So maybe this helps on your issue, but I cannot 100% answer this question because I don't know what you want to do with this slope horizontal surfaces on the floor in kind of measurement. The impact to UFR, this is calculated because we calculate all surface objects with small patches. But But if you want to have a measurement area, we have not any curved measuring areas. It's also not really defined in standards how the grid should be on a curved measuring area. It's technically possible to have also a curved measuring area, but then we deal with uniformity issues, grid issues. It's just not described, but technically possible if somebody tells us also the direction. So keep in mind, illuminance has also a direction and vector, not just in value, also in direction. And if you have an curved measuring area, then you need also to define if it's the normal vector out of this curved surface, or is it always from above. So we have lots of interesting measurement questions if you curve areas for measurement. Yeah.
Okay, so this was the last question.
Yeah. So, thanks for all those questions. Well, it's really great to have this kind of interest in this. On the German part, we have done the same in German at 10 o'clock today, and it was just 2 questions from the German-speaking community. So this is a plus to the English community, that you have a lot of questions regarding this issue. It's great. Our next episode will be on the 21st of December. This is the Thursday before Christmas. And in this episode, we will just handle questions from you. There's not a specific topic. We are open for all topics. We will discuss just with you together all points which felt in your mind, which ask you in this question formula of GoToMeeting. But also it's possible to send us your questions before the episode. So right now you can send us your question via email. I guess it's something like support or info@relux.com. Check our website, relux.com/funwithrelux. In the episode announcement for next episode, there's the email address where you can send us your questions before the episode, and then we have it right here on our desk, and then we can go through the questions and have a discussion with you about all topics you have in mind.
And we have also the possibility to make some preparations, maybe showing you some things.
Yeah. If you have it in before, then we have the chance also to prepare something
to show you.
If not, we can also putting something live maybe on Relux desktop. Yeah, we will see. Yeah.
Okay, so long. Hope we will see you the next time, and have a good time. Bye.
See you. Bye bye.